Chapter 60:20. As soon as Simon said these words, the entire scene burst into applause. The Rothschild family members, except Steve and Royce, jumped up and applauded wildly almost at the same time. Like David, he even shed tears of excitement involuntarily. None of them wanted Simon to abdicate, let alone Steve to succeed. Maintaining the status quo is their biggest extravagant hope. Because maintaining the status quo can ensure that their current vested interests will not be greatly affected. Maybe if they make a great contribution in the future, they will have the opportunity to counterattack and replace Steve and become the new heir. Originally, they thought that maintaining the status quo was an impossible dream, but unexpectedly, this dream actually came true. Steve was hopeless at this time. He had already guessed that such a situation would happen. But he didn't expect that his father could talk about it so grandly, which made him very angry. However, fortunately, among misfortunes, the old man has listed himself and his son as the first and second heirs. As a result, his chances of succeeding in the future will be much greater. As long as nothing happens in the middle, in the future, he will definitely be the next patriarch of the Rothschild family. Simon looked at the reactions of most of his children and grandchildren at this time and felt very satisfied. When he thought that he would still be able to give orders here in the next few years, he couldn't help but sigh. The $60 billion was actually well spent. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, oh, this man has worked so hard to earn money for nothing. Just a few more years of good life? If there is a chance to live to be 200 years old, what does it matter if half of the family property is given away to others? When Helena returned to Ottawa, the capital of Canada, along the way, she was thinking about how she should report to Charlie the progress she had made in New York. Telling the truth? That is impossible. Because Charlie had made an agreement with her before, Helena could take half of the price of the elixir. This elixir was actually sold for $60 billion plus an AI model. The AI model was a condition attached by Charlie, so it was not within the scope of the share. This also meant that she should get a share of $30 billion. But how could she take away so much money from Charlie? Helena could not convince herself of this point no matter what. So, after thinking about it, she decided to lie to him. Report the Rothschild family's $50 billion deposit to her according to the sales volume, and tell that the elixir had been bought for $111 billion. As agreed, she took $55 billion of it, giving $55 billion to Charlie. In this way, what she actually took away was only $5 billion. This is already the highest commission Helena can accept in her heart. After making up her mind, she took out her mobile phone and called Charlie. At this moment, Charlie is still on the plane returning to China, which is almost an hour's flight away. Since Victoria was in the United States after Charlie returned to the United States from Canada, he did not take the more eye-catching Concorde, but took an ordinary business jet, which made the journey back home much longer. The plane was traveling at a slow speed and had to stop to replenish fuel, so it took more than 10 hours to fly and it still hadn't reached its destination. After receiving the voice call from Helena, Charlie guessed that she was sharing the good news with him. So after answering the call, he asked her with a smile, "Well, Helena, have you left New York?" "Yes," Helena said respectfully. "Mr. Wade, I have returned to Canada and want to call you to report on my experience with the Rothschild family." Charlie said with a smile, "You tell me, I listen." Helena then recounted the entire process of her meeting with Simon to Marvin in relative detail. When mentioning the price, she lied, "Mr. Wade, the final price that Simon and I reached was that he would pay $110 billion in cash, plus build a complete AI model in Northern Europe and maintain it for at least 20 years with updates and upgrades." $1,200 billion? Charlie couldn't help but be a little surprised and said, "You really made Simon bleed." Helena smiled, "Who made him only willing to pay $100 million in the beginning? If I took the initiative to ask for $10 billion, I might raise it to $20 billion, which would be about the same. But when I asked for $100 million, He sounded like he had paid a sky-high price, so I thought I would just do nothing but hit him hard. Charlie smiled and said, "The Rothschild family is as rich as any country. And it won't hurt them to let them shed some blood. Simon should still feel that it is a good deal." Helena said with a smile, "In a few years, he will probably be willing to spend $200 billion to buy a pill." Charlie said, "It depends on his specific performance. If the performance is bad, I won't sell any elixirs to him in the future." Helena on the other end of the phone said at this time, "By the way, Mr. Wade, when is it convenient for you? Give me a bank card and I will transfer your part of the money." Charlie was about to agree but suddenly felt that something was not right. Based on Helena's character, if this deal really amounts to $111 billion, she will definitely find various reasons to reduce her own share. If he wants her to take half of it as agreed, it will probably cost a lot of tongues. But now Helena, without any hesitation, would directly settle the score 50-50 with him. This was very different from her usual behavior, which also made Charlie certain that there must be something fishy inside. Charlie speculated in his mind that Helena had most likely lied to him. The actual transaction price should not be as high as $110 billion. She most likely deliberately reported the price to lower her due. Thinking of this part of the reward, he said to Helena, "You can hold this money for me first. I have no place to use the money. Not to mention such a large amount of cash. I don't have a suitable account on hand at the moment." He was worried that Helena would give most of the sales proceeds to him, so he planned not to accept the money until he figured it out. What's more, he is indeed not short of money now and has abundant cash flow that cannot be exhausted. He does not need these more than $50 billion at all. It is better to leave the money in Helena's hands first. On the one hand, it can prevent Helena from giving more. On the other hand, he inevitably needs a large amount of money in Europe and the United States in the future. If the money is in Helena's hands, it will be more convenient to spend in Europe and the United States. Helena still didn't know his intention and thought that he really didn't have a suitable account to collect the funds. So she asked him, "If you need a secret account, I can help you contact a Swiss bank and ask them to open an account with a high confidentiality level." "No need," Charlie said with a smile, "just I will leave it with you first. I will contact you when I need to use it." Helena hesitated for a moment but agreed. She said, "Well, Mr. Wade, I will keep these $55 billion for you first.